A miracle with all the gunshot wounds on that car on both sides and all the shooting that took place, that baby was spared and nothing. God must have a plan for that baby.
This is the story of Gabryel Ayres. It was 1:30 in the afternoon on February 4th, 2026. The sun was out. People were going about their daily routines in the Auburn-Gresham neighborhood on Chicago's South Side. In the 7900 block of South May Street, a 26-year-old woman named Gabryel Ayres sat in a parked vehicle. In the back seat, her infant daughter, less than a year old, was strapped into a car seat. A 27-year-old man sat nearby. Then three figures appeared. They wore masks. They moved with purpose. They approached the vehicle where Ayres sat with her child and companion. What happened next would last only seconds, but it would shatter multiple lives and leave a community demanding answers. The masked gunman opened fire. Bullets tore through the vehicle in broad daylight. Ayres took multiple gunshot wounds. The man beside her was hit twice. Inside the car, a baby sat in the line of fire as strangers unleashed violence without hesitation, without warning, without regard for who might be caught in the crossfire. When the shooting stopped, the gunman fled. Emergency responders rushed Ayres to the hospital in critical condition. She would not survive. The man would recover. The infant somehow emerged physically unharmed, a child who would grow up without her mother, who was present for a violence she was too young to understand but would carry with her nonetheless. No arrests have been made. 3 masked shooters walked up to a car in the middle of the day, opened fire on a woman holding her life together, and walked away. Somewhere, they continue their lives while Gabryel Ayres' family prepares a funeral. The question everyone keeps asking: why? Cook County Crime Stoppers offers $10,000 for information. The investigation continues. This is the complete story, every action, every chilling detail. Welcome to Everyday True Crime. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a case. Stay with us for more gripping investigations and raw true crime stories delivered daily. Now let's dive in. Gabryel Ayres was 26 years old when she died on February 4th, 2026. Known to her community as Gabby, she lived in the Auburn-Gresham neighborhood on Chicago's South Side, an area identified by the 60620 zip code and characterized by its predominantly African-American population. At the time of her death, Ayres was the mother of an infant daughter less than 1 year old. She maintained a relationship with a 27-year-old man who would survive the same attack that claimed her life. Ayres was described within her community as a caring individual and devoted mother. Her godfather, Pastor Kirk Bell, maintained a close relationship with her and would later become one of the primary voices speaking about the tragedy. In the Auburn-Gresham neighborhood, Ayres represented what many young mothers in the area face: the challenge of raising a child in a community that has experienced decades of disinvestment while simultaneously dealing with persistent gun violence. Her death sparked immediate grief throughout Auburn-Gresham, with memorial sites and tributes appearing shortly after the incident. The infant daughter who survived the attack represents one of the case's most disturbing elements. Strapped into a car seat in the back of the vehicle during the shooting, the child witnessed her mother's murder, though she was too young to comprehend what occurred. Multiple witnesses reported seeing the baby crying while holding a lollipop in the aftermath of the shooting. The child emerged physically unharmed despite more than 50 bullets being fired at the vehicle. This survival has been described as sheer luck, rather than any protective measure. The child now faces life without her mother, unable to provide testimony about what happened, yet carrying the reality that she will grow up knowing her mother was murdered with no personal memory of her. This situation exemplifies the generational trauma that gun violence creates in Chicago's most affected communities. The shooting occurred in the 7900 block of South May Street, near the intersection of 79th Street and May Street in Auburn-Gresham. This residential area features brick buildings and parked vehicles, with streets lined by homes where families live their daily lives. The location is significant for its proximity to St. Sabina Parish, located at 1210 West 78th Place, just over 1 block from the crime scene. St. Sabina Church has been led by Father Michael Flegger since 1981. Flegger has established himself as a prominent anti-violence activist, organizing Friday night peace walks for nearly 20 years. The church serves as a hub for community organizing and violence prevention efforts, hosting gun turn-in events with the Chicago Police Department, operating a food pantry that serves 800 people weekly, and providing information about jobs, social services, and expungement services during peace walks. The irony of extreme violence erupting steps from this center of peace activism was not lost on community members or observers. Auburn Gresham has been listed among Chicago's dangerous neighborhoods, dealing with a combination of property crimes and violent incidents. The area has experienced multiple mass shooting incidents in recent history. A mass shooting outside a funeral near 79th and Carpenter wounded 15 people. In December, a shooting outside a St. Sabina basketball tournament wounded 3 men. Residents have described some shootings as resembling a war zone, and the area has been characterized as one that knows gunfire far too well. The community has endured decades of disinvestment, resulting in high unemployment rates, food deserts, lack of healthcare access, high poverty rates, limited healthy food choices, and gang activity. Despite these challenges, strong community organizing efforts continue, led largely by St. Sabina. Regular peace walks and marches occur, and community activists work to intervene in cycles of violence. Father Flegger has commented on the situation. There's gangs, and there's shooting and the killing. It's just unbelievable. The Gabryel Ayres murder occurred during what city officials characterized as one of Chicago's safest years in modern history. The city ended 2025 with 416 homicides, the lowest total since 2014, when 425 homicides were recorded. This number approached the 1965 record low of 395 homicides. The 2025 statistics represented a 30% reduction in homicides compared to 2024 and a 35% drop in shootings. Chicago recorded fewer than 2,000 shootings for the first time this century. The homicide total was roughly half of what it had been just 4 years prior. Additional crime categories showed double-digit declines. Robberies decreased 35%, carjackings dropped 50%, and aggravated assaults fell 19%. The homicide clearance rate reached 72%, the highest in at least a decade. At least 85% of Chicago's 22 police districts saw reductions in gun victimizations in 2025. However, the reality behind these statistics reveals a more complex picture. Despite historic lows, Chicago's homicide rate remains dramatically higher than other major world cities. The 2025 homicide rate stood at 14.6 per 100,000 residents. This compares to New York City's rate of 3.4 per 100,000, Los Angeles at 7.7, St. Louis at 46.8, Detroit at 24.2, and Baltimore at 23.1. Racial disparities in victimization rates are stark. For Black Chicagoans, the homicide rate dropped from 80.4 per 100,000 in 2021 to 39.5 in 2025, a significant improvement, but still several times higher than rates for Latino residents, 9.3, and white residents, 1.8. The Gabryel Ayres case demonstrates that statistical improvements do not protect individual victims. Her murder happened in February 2026, as the city continued the decline trend from 2025, making it one of the first major violent incidents of the new year. The case shows that violence persists in specific neighborhoods despite citywide progress, with Auburn Gresham remaining a hot spot. Chicago police recovered over 11,000 illegal firearms in 2025, with officers recovering approximately 1,000 guns per month, an average of 32 to 36 firearms daily. Nearly 400 ghost guns, privately made firearms without serial numbers, were recovered through mid-December 2025. A deputy mayor stated, "Sheer volume and access to guns in our city from surrounding areas that are brought into our city is one of the major problems. Long guns, rifles, are increasingly being used in shootings, as evidenced in the Ayres case. A pattern of brazen daylight attacks has emerged. The Gabryel Ayres shooting occurred at 1:25 to 1:30 p.m. in the middle of the afternoon. The White Castle shooting on the west side occurred at 1:20 p.m. on the same day, leaving 2 dead. This pattern includes masked gunmen operating in broad daylight with increasing boldness. Paul Rutherford of Cook County Crime Stoppers stated, "The fact that this shooting occurred in the daytime hours and while a mother was inside a car with a child is absolutely outrageous." The attack occurred on a Wednesday afternoon. The time was approximately 1:25 to 1:30 p.m. Footage from the scene shows snow-dusted streets. It was an ordinary day in Auburn Gresham, with people going about their daily routines, children potentially coming home from school, and workers heading to or from jobs. Gabryel Ayres was seated in the passenger seat of a white Chevy sedan. Her 27-year-old male partner was driving. Their infant daughter was secured in a car seat in the back. The vehicle was stopped or moving slowly in the 7900 block of South May Street. Available evidence suggests they were unaware of the approaching danger. The attackers arrived in a red vehicle, described variously as a red Alfa Romeo, red SUV, or red car across different witness accounts and reports. The vehicle had been following or tracking the victim's car. It pulled up alongside or behind the white sedan and stopped to allow the gunman to exit. 3 masked individuals emerged, though some reports indicate 4. All were dressed in black clothing and wore masks to conceal their identities. They were armed with multiple firearms, including long guns, rifles. Witnesses described them as moving with purpose. The coordination of their movements suggests planning and intention. They showed no hesitation. The gunman emerged from the red vehicle and rushed toward the victim's white sedan on foot. They opened fire immediately. Multiple firearms discharged simultaneously. Witnesses describe round after round being fired from 3 guns, with at least 24 shots in the initial barrage. No warning was given to the victims. They had no opportunity to flee or defend themselves. More than 50 shots were fired in total, based on shell casings and evidence markers recovered at the scene. Some reports indicate 30 to 50 rounds. The sustained gunfire lasted several seconds. Bullets struck throughout the vehicle body. The windows of the sedan were completely shattered. The vehicle body was riddled with bullet holes. Every part of the car appeared to have been targeted. Gabryel Ayres was struck multiple times throughout her body. The male driver was shot twice, once in the buttocks and once in the arm, specifically the elbow region. The driver apparently attempted to flee, causing the vehicle to crash into a nearby GMC van. The infant was crying in the back seat, somehow unharmed. After the initial barrage, the gunman briefly retreated to the red vehicle. Instead of fleeing immediately, the vehicle stopped near the crashed car. The gunman emerged again or fired from the vehicle, discharging several more shots into the already devastated vehicle. This second wave of shooting is particularly significant, as it suggests an intent to ensure the victims were dead. It demonstrates complete disregard for any witnesses or consequences. The gunman then returned to the red getaway vehicle and fled the scene, disappearing into the Auburn Gresham neighborhood. No immediate pursuit was captured on video. The vehicle description and direction of travel became crucial investigative leads. A passing motorist captured the shooting on video. The footage was posted by Chicago Critter on social media. The witness was on their way home from work and described being heartbroken and distraught. The witness saw the baby in the back seat holding a lollipop and crying. The video shows bystanders taking cover behind their vehicles. The footage captures the brazen nature of the attack and became key evidence for investigators. The GMC van struck by the victim's fleeing vehicle sustained damage, but the van driver was miraculously unharmed and refused medical treatment at the scene. This driver could have easily been another victim and represents the danger the attack posed to the entire community. Emergency calls flooded into 911 around 1:25 p.m. Multiple witnesses called simultaneously, reporting shots fired and a vehicle crash. Chicago Police Department Area 2 detectives were assigned to the case. Officers arrived to a chaotic scene. The crime scene consisted of a white sedan crashed into a GMC van. Windows were shattered, and bullet holes covered the vehicle. More than 50 shell casings were scattered on the ground, with evidence markers placed everywhere. Blood was visible inside the vehicle. The baby was still in the back seat, physically unharmed but crying. Witnesses had gathered, and some were recording on their phones. Gabryel Ayres was found with multiple gunshot wounds throughout her body. First responders extracted her from the vehicle. Her critical condition was immediately apparent. She was rushed to the hospital by ambulance, with initial reports indicating transport to OSF Little Company of Mary Hospital. Some reports indicate she was later transferred to Loyola University Medical Center. Medical staff worked to save her life. Despite their efforts, she was pronounced dead. Her family had to be notified of her death. The male victim, shot twice in the buttocks and arm/elbow, was removed from the vehicle and transported to Advocate Christ Medical Center in Oaklawn. He was listed in good condition and survived his injuries. His testimony would be crucial to the investigation. The baby was examined by medical personnel at the scene. Miraculously, she had no physical injuries. The emotional trauma, however, is immeasurable. She was removed from the crime scene, and family members were called to take custody. She will need counseling for trauma exposure. Father Michael Flegger commented, "Thank God that baby is so young. They probably won't remember this day, but that baby is going to know that their mother was killed today. That baby could have been killed." Physical evidence collection was extensive. More than 50 shell casings were collected from the scene. Investigators conducted bullet trajectory analysis and performed vehicle forensics on the white sedan. They examined bullet holes and damage patterns, conducted blood spatter analysis, performed ballistics testing on recovered bullets, and examined the GMC van for evidence. Video evidence became central to the investigation. The bystander video from the passing motorist provided key documentation. Surveillance cameras from nearby buildings captured footage. Father Flegger mentioned there were good shots off the cameras on the buildings. Traffic cameras in the area, along with doorbell and security cameras from residences, provided additional footage. Video showing the red getaway vehicle and footage of the gunman's movements and tactics became crucial investigative materials. Witness accounts were collected from multiple sources. The passing motorist who recorded video, residents who heard gunfire, people who saw the red vehicle, the GMC van driver who was struck, and the surviving male victim, whose testimony would be particularly important. Community members who may have seen the gunman before or after the attack were sought. Potential witnesses who haven't come forward remain a concern for investigators. As of the latest reports from February 5 to 6, 2026, no arrests had been made. The gunmen remained at large. Their masked identities complicated identification efforts. The red vehicle had not been located. The suspects fled before police arrival. A code of silence in some communities hinders the collection of tips. No clear motive has been publicly stated by police. Possible theories under investigation include a targeted hit on specific individuals, gang-related retaliation, mistaken identity, prior conflict or dispute, or connection to drug trade or other criminal activity. Speculation exists about a social media post potentially aiding assailants in tracking targets. Investigation into the victims' backgrounds is ongoing, as is examination of any threats or prior incidents. Chicago Police Department Area 2 detectives are reviewing all video evidence, interviewing witnesses, analyzing cell phone records, checking license plate readers for the red vehicle, examining victims' social media and communications, looking for connections to other recent shootings, and coordinating with gang intelligence units. Cook County Crime Stoppers offered a $10,000 reward for information leading to arrest and charging. This amount was increased from the standard $1,000 reward due to the severity of the case. Executive Director Paul Rutherford stated, "This is yet another senseless and cowardly act of violence." Tips can remain completely anonymous. Tipsters are given a unique code number and can claim the reward without revealing their identity. Tips can be submitted by calling 1-800-535-STOP 7867, online at www.cptip.com, or via email at tips@cookcountycrimestoppers.org. All methods allow complete anonymity. Tipsters are never traced. There is no pressure to reveal identity, and information is kept confidential. A similar $10,000 reward was offered for the White Castle shooting that occurred on the same day, February 4, 2026, at approximately 1:20 p.m. 3 men were in a vehicle at 2356 West Roosevelt Road on the west side when 3 masked gunmen approached and opened fire. The vehicle caught fire. 2 victims escaped the flames, but a third died trapped inside. The similar pattern raises questions about possible connections between the incidents. Pastor Kirk Bell, Gabryel's godfather, spoke publicly about the tragedy. He questioned, "What's the purpose of shooting at a car when you know there's a child in the car? That doesn't make any sense." He noted, "It could be a lot of other people who's lost their life here today." He described the attackers. "You know, there's a baby in the car. These animals have no value on life. This is nothing to them." He called for action. They need to clean this city up. Father Michael Flegger arrived at the scene shortly after the shooting and spoke to media. He observed, "They all had long guns. It's just crazy." He demanded, "Somebody needs to be held accountable." He expressed hope for arrests based on camera footage and emphasized that the child could have been killed. The shooting occurred just over 1 block from St. Sabina Church, which has been the center of peace activism for decades. Flegger has organized against this exact type of violence. Violence literally erupted at the church's doorstep despite decades of organizing. Flegger has commented on root causes. "We have made violence part of the wardrobe of America, and guns part of the wardrobe of America, and is now an accepted norm." Residents continue living with the constant threat of violence. Children are exposed to extreme events. Generational trauma accumulates. Normal activities carry danger. An afternoon errand turned deadly for Gabryel Ayres. Fear of being caught in crossfire is pervasive. The impact on the mental health of the entire community is substantial. Community leaders have called for enhanced intervention strategies, advocacy for breaking cycles of retaliatory violence, and emphasis that crime reduction must protect vulnerable residents. There is recognition of the enduring cycle of retaliatory violence in Chicago, and a push for more resources for violence prevention, community-based interventions, and investment in social services and economic development. If this story gripped your heart and left you questioning the truth, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with others who need to hear it. For more chilling true crime stories that dive deep into the mysteries behind these tragedies, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell. You won't want to miss our latest updates, investigations, and thought-provoking discussions. Thank you for being part of this journey with us as we uncover the truth and seek justice. Together, we can make a difference. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.